You see a small metal door nested inside a larger one, a heavy steel blast door. There is a conventional keyhole above the handle. It's very small.
Another part of the island, probably. The lock looks like it could still be usable. Maybe this is one of the doors we don't open?
He's right. It would be better to open its big brother. A powerful engine hangs under the ceiling. It must control the blast door.
Alright, I retract my statement. It was naive. Let's look around and get it open.
Green paint flecks off the monoblock aluminium cabinet. There are rows of switches on the front panel, a frequency band, and even a keyboard.
The console of an anti-computation device. The generator upstairs, with wires coming out, they terminate here. Possibly. Urgence, ouvert, allumé, radiodiffusé. It sounds like this device was used to control the electronics here. Maybe it still does.
This device was used to control the electronics in the room. It could open doors, control lights, function as a radio computer. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. The dial slides under the glass, silently. You make out defunct stations on the UKV frequency. The words, Feld Insula, are written on the band. An idea lights up in your head.
This is an air-gapped system. Of air, I think they call it. That won't work. No, I'm not. But it would not be very good military technology if programmer ladies could control it remotely. Also, it's ancient, incompatible. We need to restore power before using this, officer. The generator, it didn't look like there was fuel in it. We should look around outside. There are barrels all over. Maybe one of them still has something in it.
The boat engine.
But officer, then we would have to swim back to the mainland. Let's just look around, okay?
The consul stands by, mutely. Urgence, over. Read. There's a rain-soaked mattress on a concrete slab, only half covered by the crumbling roof. At the head of it, double embrasures, firing slits like two eyes in the wall.
B triple prime. This looks like a good place to shoot from.
A single-person mattress, modern, civilian use. Brand name, Marjorie. There's a fuel stain on the cover, along with cigarette burns. And an empty can of beans on the ground next to it, filled to the brim with cigarette butts. The silhouette of a tobacco picker adorns the paper filter. The brand, Dio Mortieri. Contemporary Revacholians prefer Druan, a local blend from the southern islands, or Astra, the legendary cigarette from Grad. Dio Mortieri is favored by older men for its paper filter tips, sweet smell, and added tar.
I may have been wrong when I said it wasn't important. This means the same person could have visited both locations. I didn't see any signs of smoking inside though. If people live there, they keep it tidy. This here may also be a smoking spot.
There's a firing slit in the wall in front of you, like a little window. Quite old and grimy from years without cleaning by anything other than the rain. The springs screech as you lean on the mattress and crane your neck to look out. Trepidation, a tingling feeling in your stomach. A small piece of Martinez coastline opens up in the square in front of you, like a tiny landscape painting. 1 kilometer across the water, the ruins look familiar. A towering skyscraper, its top floors shaved off by artillery fire. Capeside apartments, Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A and 33B. The red chimney and collapsed back of the 4-story tenement in front of the Whirling in Rags, Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 10, the doomed commercial area. The box-shaped silhouette of the Whirling in Rags. You see a small fleck of white on the rooftop, the upstairs window of Clausia's room, in the rain, reflecting light.
Do you have a line of sight to the window?
More than that.
A pair of binoculars? Or a scope of a rifle? You'd be prone, lying on a mattress, barrel resting on the embrasure.
Cheek against the cheek rest, hand on the hair trigger, on a calm day like this.
Good. I think we have it, Detective. The origin of the shot. This is the sniper's nest.
Affirmative.
Why? We don't go everywhere in a 1,000-meter radius of the crime scene. That's not procedure. Don't beat yourself up, officer. We did not put guns in their hands or get them drunk.
The lieutenant pauses. Regret comes over him.
We will make up for it. Here. I feel it. Where?
He does not answer, just nods. With his back hunched, he looks around once more and says,
We should move now.
a strange feeling looking at the water. Maybe you should just wander off into the sea. Leave it all and walk in. Perhaps there's someone there, under the water, waiting for you, where it has always been, smelling of tutti frutti and betrayal. Maybe you know it's going to hurt. Yes, cold and still, but love is warm like the inside of her mouth. Yes, 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 yes. No, we're not starting with that. Not now, not this time. This thought is over. In the rain mirror of the bay, you see Martinez reflected. Tall edifices of ruins reach into the water, like shimmering towers. And the shacks too. Pine trees and motor lorries, upside down. Islets and posts, like stepping stones, lead into the water in front of you. Go, step in. It's been too long. This old cylindrical generator waits with its fuel cap. The lieutenant assists you, holding the canister up to the fuel tank as you tilt. Dark brown, viscous fluid pours out, and the room fills with a chemical smell. There's a red starter switch on the side of the cylinder and a start rope on the other side. The lieutenant flicks the switch. The recoil start wakes the old generator up. The machine sputters like an old warhorse before settling down to a rattle.
That should do it.
A dim golden glow animates the console, faint like a ghost light. Urgence,
It's on. Turn emergency open.
automatic boot. The lighting in the room turns on with a sizzle, a dim ambient orange. The dial slides under the dusty glass, dark and silent, despite the power being on. You make out defunct stations on the UKV frequency. The words "failed insula" are written on the band. An idea lights up in your head. You're right. You're not a circuit bender. You don't know about these things. The blast door opens with a series of clicks. A shaft of light appears, then widens as the light shines in.
After you. I don't know. Don't worry, I have a gun. I know, it was not easy to acquire.
An old man wearing tracksuit trousers leans on the frame stock of his rifle. He gathers a big ball of spit in his mouth, then spits it out into the extinguished fire before him. He raises his black eyes, hooded by creased eyelids, to meet yours, unclouded by cataracts. His eyesight is sharp.
The what now? I can't hear you. I may have. All sorts of little rats have come sniffing around, trying to give up the position.
The position sounds like a hiding place.
Fire guy. Regressive bourgeoisie henchman. Can't even talk like a grown-up. My eyesight? Yes. Helps me see all the shit. I did. And you opened it. How? I should have burned that console down. Reactionary rock and roll music. Playing on the water.
Told you we shouldn't play sad FM.
The fascists were right about rock and roll. It is degenerate, hip gyrating, mental illness music. It's not nice. It's a piece of shit. But it gets the job done. It's a Triangong 446.
Southeast Samaran made, exotic, must be defunct too. No modern rifle manufacturer of that name springs to mind.
A Samaran rifle. How did you get hold of one?
It was sent to us by our brothers in the Sinyao commune. military aid.
It has stayed true to him. He can still make it sing.
You heard me. It's good now, like chalk wiped from the board.
The lieutenant pulls his pistol from the holster.
You are a glorified night watchman. This is a service rifle. I can only lay it down before an enemy commander of corresponding rank. The words, "I am an enemy commander," sound cold as iron from your lungs. The old man still hugs his gun. And what rank would that be, dog? A big wheel of the 4th Regiment of the Pederast Army. To hell with it. It's a walking stick anyway. It's out of bullets.
Like an amputated limb in the sand. He stares on, his wrinkled mouth moving without a sound. A strange sadness, like a song.
The future teaches you to be alone.
The present.
The present to be afraid and cold. Real music. Real brilliant cult. That's La Revacholière, not your rock and roll misanthropy. Chanson de soldat of the black and whites.
You need to address that remark.
It is the anthem of the world revolution. One of 3. In Grad, they sang Brave Children, favorites of history. And in Sinyao, it was some Samaran shit, I guess. Everyone has. They named a fucking perfume after it. Talk to her? God's shithouse. Should have taken it down like they did in Grad. Dismantled it for firewood. How did it go? Something about shooting rabbits. I don't know. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It's gone now.
He waves erratically with his hand, annoyed that he can't remember. A little tremor passes through him. It was dear to him. He resents forgetting it. His gaze follows your motions. The rifle feels surprisingly light in your hand. Frame stopped and patched in places with tape and wire. The rifle's in a shabby state, like a crutch that's seen too much travel. Hieroglyphs are embossed into the forearm, made of walnut. On the butt, you see Vespertine writing, burnt into the wood. Triangong, 4.46mm, made in Sinyao.
The right type and the right calibre.
He's liking this.
No one said it has to be a Belmagrave. We were just guessing.
From ballistics, it could easily have been a Triangong, too.
It doesn't matter if it was made in Shanti Shanti. All it has to do is use jacketed ammunition. And it does.
The old man keeps following your motion with his gaze. His right arm twitches suddenly. This looked very much like the murder weapon. It could be used against him to get a confession. In time.
My name is Josef Lilianovich Dross, Political Commissar of the 114th Anti-Aircraft Division of the 4th Army of the Commune of Revachol. I am a deserter, a partisan, and a prisoner of war. This is my termless surrender.
The Commune of Revachol? Do you mean the ICM? You're a holdover from the...
From the Insular Indian Citizens Militia, the army of the revolution. I was recruited in Jamrock in '07, trained in the École de Contrôle Orient, and consigned to emergency defense duties in '08. I left my unit on the eve of the landing. When I returned here on May 14th, the Commune had fallen. Still armed and ideologically trained, I wrote a criticism of myself and resumed partisan duties.
51 minus 8 equals 43.
No. I've been on other islands, too. I was an Resurrection until they turned it into a spa in '18. Then I was an E-48, a nameless sound, until the sea washed over it. Then I came back here. That was 22 years ago. 43 years and 10 months. It's too long. It's not how a human being should live. But I couldn't just forget what I saw.
He just couldn't. He nods, but he can now.
What have you been doing during all this time?
Hiding, fishing, waiting.
2 police officers step out of the Whirling in Rags cafeteria. Satellite officer Jean-Vic Mayer inspects a series of burnt black letters splashed across the plaza mosaic. Patrol officer Judith Minot points west. The fishing village. She glances at her watch. We meet in 15 minutes. It's a 10-minute walk. The officers go, leaving behind the writing, still smoldering. One day, it says, I will return to your side.
Always waiting for her to return.
Her who?
Girl, child, revolution. I am not a fool. I know the material base for an uprising has eroded. The working class has betrayed mankind. The historic opportunity for a revolution has passed. It will not come back anymore, however hard I try, whatever I do.
What has he done? Perhaps a confession will lighten the load.
Yes, what? To get things going again? Fan the flame?
There is no flame to fan. There is nothing left of the world, of our dreams. I was just 16 years old, 15 when I volunteered. I had a lapse of faith. And of courage, too. You could say I misunderstood the historic role of the proletariat and thought Mazovian socioeconomics were fallible. For a second, I doubted the irreducible laws of historic materialism. A second is all it took for reaction to take hold. Petty bourgeois terror. It's in all men. It's the same thing. You haven't seen it. Not really. Not naked. It's impossible not to be afraid.
It remains unclear what it is. He makes leaps he doesn't expect you to follow.
And this was when?
May the 13th, 08, 44 years ago. The horizon was black with coalition airships. Their petroleum rose to the sky, and it looked like it formed the clouds, storm clouds. When they started shelling, it was dark magic. The combined might of international capital. All at once, all the greed and terror in the world tore into Revachol. It lifted streets from the ground and turned houses into ghosts. We were in the flak tower, huddled on the floor. The artillery was 80 kilometers away in Ozon, but I knew the commune would fall. We would all be turned into ash. So I said I was going to the map room.
A terrible shame, still within him. The lobes of his ears are red with it. The shame and smallness of what he became.
Nah. I climbed the chain link across the water and hid inland, in the bunkers there, like the weakest of the weak. A mouse, frightened at the ordnance all night, and the sound of the rotors in the morning, whirring. Airships. I climbed out into hell. The landing was complete. The chain was submerged. I had to swim back. The fortress was half submerged too, shattered. They'd all drowned in the lower levels or got torn to shreds above. The anti-aircraft gun had malfunctioned. So had I. I left them without ideological direction. It was real. I'd seen it. I'd seen it in reality. the mask of humanity fall from capital. It has to take it off to kill everyone, everything you love, all the hope and tenderness in the world. It has to take it off just for 1 second to do the deed. And then you see it, as it strangles and beats your friends to death. The sweetest, most courageous people in the world. You see the fear and power in its eyes. Then you know that the bourgeois are not human. I had to fight it. I had to never stop. It's not an island, Dwat. It's a defensive fortification of the commune of Revachol. And I am its last surviving defender. The congenitally deformed King Philip II built it to restrict access to the Bay of Revachol. We captured it in '02, retrofitted the fort with an AA gun to defend against an airborne landing. Against the whole world. Coalition military called it Operation Deathblow. I later found out on the radio they called it Deathblow. You're one of them. Tell me, who speaks like that? We had 50 million people on Caillou alone. Sure you are. You're RCM. Answer me. Who calls an operation against 50 million people Deathblow? You don't know. You haven't seen it. Iblis. The black-eyed angel. How does anyone survive? I steal.
Now hold on there.
You're insane and grotesque. Everyone steals. Vegetables, supplies. It's the life of a dog.
How is your health, Mr. Dross?
I've been throwing up blood since winter. Red, like beetroot. Been passing it in stool, too.
He does seem frail. Gaunt for his age. More like 75 than 65. Trouble putting on weight could mean cancer.
The RCM can provide medical services. You need to be looked over.
I need to die. You don't have medical facilities. You have guns. That's all they give you. Toy guns. There's nothing to look over. The triage is in, and it's black. Administer morphine. Moribund. I have been running out of that stuff. I haven't. I have holes in my brain. Years missing. Others filled with pain only. A decade of... I don't even know what. Inferno?
I would imagine it gets tremendously difficult, mentally, to live in isolation.
Traitors. It's better alone. I watch the people of this city turn the lights back on, more and more each year. Ruins, glimmering in the dark, like a fucking merry-go-round. It's disgusting.
Are they not heartbroken? How could they have moved on?
It was hard in the tens. I didn't have partisan training. They were searching for stragglers, those bloodhounds. Floodlights on the water at night.
There were posters, campaigns.
We communards still hoped, and they needed to snuff that hope out. The East capitulated. Martinez and Cold City were turned to dust. But Jamrock, Forburg, even Coron, and Boogie Street, of course. Those fucking kips had Marsov coursing through their veins. And others too. Some cordons of Revachol was still fighting. There were cells. I tried to contact them. Soon they all went silent. The frequencies dead. At night, I used a dinghy. I only went after dark then. When I got to the city, I stayed underground. Patrols, you lot, the commons too. They'd started snitching.
In the city, you move underground?
From bunker to bunker. Not anymore. No one cares now. I don't even have to hide. They think I'm another antisocial vagrant. I could walk straight into that town if I wanted. I just... I don't want to. They're all traitors. Pigs, rabbits, and dogs. Men without ideals are only animals.
He does not want to see life moving on. People forgetting, drinking, laughing.
So you finally found it. There must have been a small squadron's worth of arms in there. Belmer Graves, right? I know.
So you've been there?
Sleeping. Some nights. Ammo scrounging on others. Those McGraves were shit, even before they corroded. Some had bullets in the chamber, however.
You feel the dots connecting. Little dots on the map he's walked across.
The propaganda bunker. I used to, but not anymore.
Propaganda bunker?
They stored leaflets there. Broadcasting equipment, too. Made broadcasts, I think. Propaganda officers. I buried them with their leaflets. They killed themselves. 2 young boys. A lot of our boys did. I spent some winters there. Never liked it. Kept thinking of them. No need to go underground anymore. It's better in the ruins, on the ground. I do. They're good. Plenty of tar. I like that boy on the pack, too. Reminds me of the last century.
The old man looks across the water, at the city, the ruins, the motorways rising above it.
You're with the RCM. The coalition-appointed mob that enforces bourgeois morals in Revachol. A so-called Lieutenant W. Freighter. You're the RCM. You represent the Moralist International, the enemies of humanity who took this city. I represent their adversary, le Parti Communiste d'Insolande. Take me to them as a prisoner of war. I have relinquished my weapon. I can no longer serve. No superiors can relieve me of my duty. You bulldoze them all to a mass grave for trying to free humanity.
A spray of blood from his mouth on the black charcoal in the fire pit. Rene, the royalist on the coast, said,
Liberal reactionaries signed that instrument. Traitors who should have been burned alive. I answer to the Communist Party.
Is that part of why you've been here all this time? Because the party didn't surrender?
He just wipes the blood from his chin.
Honor is a feudal atavism. My motive is class. No, I am not a soldier. I am an ideological officer. I belong to the party, not the army. Trained in historical materialism, then assigned as a political commissar by the party. These things used to mean something.
The old man does not answer. He tilts his silver head and looks at the reeds. You see a small tremor pass through his legs.
His job was to assure the army answers to civilian control and follows the ideology of the Commune.
Scientific communism. A commissaire politique is a night philosopher of the revolution, a future human.
Awakened from shutdown by the promise of ideology, he was like a cleric, a shepherd.
No, the opposite of that. A future human, not a human of the past.
He nods slowly, then another tremor.
You're inert lumpen with a gun.
Detective, we have not come here to discuss ideology. We have come to ask questions regarding a murder investigation.
The old man spits into the fire pit. He does not say anything more. A jitter passes his lower body. There's definitely something off with his body. Something more than just metabolism, or even cancer.
There's nothing serious in this world. It's a farce. I ain't going anywhere. Minions of capital. What do you want? I've used it for killing people.
Killing people?
It's a gun. That's what they're for. You want a moralist euphemism? Defending your family and your property. I haven't done that. I've used it to kill people.
Interesting. During or after the war?
There is no after the war. Class war is never over.
So he's continued killing after hostilities ended. Okay. This is it. You can feel it, like battery acid on the tip of your tongue. Something you haven't felt in a while. But this is what you live for. This is the shit. The great serotonin jackpot. The solution. Go in straight. No euphemisms. He doesn't like those. No. Be careful now. Slow and steady does it. Make him repeat it first. Don't mess this up. Remember, he wants to tell you. Get personal. Nothing comes to you. Silence. His black eyes look at you.
I don't want to tell you anything, you grotesque murderer.
And why did you think that was a good idea? Don't listen to me. I'm wrong all the time.
What did I just say?
What did I just tell you? Don't drop the ball now.
The who now?
He heard you. He just wants to hear you say it again. This is dramatic flair on his part. Right choice. We're in. Do it, sire.
The worm there. In the monster armor. An ugly piece of work, that boy.
Did you kill him?
I am a son of a welder and an officer of the commune of Revachol. I do not collaborate with murderers and pederasts of the liberal regime.
A drop of blood in the saliva. Exhaust him with proof. Pile it all on him. Get a confession. The scent of blood in the air. But what else? There was something you can't remember. Something about the tracks. Suddenly, all those tracks are so confusing. Go with something else first.
I saw you poking around there, looking for evidence. You're damn diligent when it comes to dead fascies. Did you like the view?
You had direct visibility. There are embrasures in the concrete, specifically meant for a top follower to use. And you had a long-range rifle in your possession. You've been here a long time, Mr. Dras. Too long. You clearly need medical aid.
I'm ready to die. I've done my part.
He's practically admitting to it. Dead fascists for fascists. Done his part. Just one thing remains unclear. The rifle does not seem to have a scope.
Forget about your stupid fucking scope. I don't know where it is. Find it yourself. It's your problem now.
He lost it. He just doesn't know where it is. Forget it. Push on.
Because it's a sniper's nest, you stupid fuck. Radio Gosh is right. You have worms in your brain.
Almost. He almost burst out there. Keep piling arguments. Anything.
Not a lot of guns around that use military-grade ammunition, are there?
It's a real gun. Not like your little musketeer pistol. I've seen you prance around with that. Jumping hoops for the liberals. You look like imbeciles. Why don't you ask them to give you real weapons? Going against automatic rifles with these toy guns. Of course you got those boys killed.
Damn, he saw you. He's watched it happen. He would have a good view of the tribunal from here. It's not just empty boasting. So he saw you. Okay. So what? Don't let it divert you.
You didn't handle anything. I watched it happen. You let those murderers rip right into them. Got most of them killed, even the fat one. None of those people mean anything to you. The vultures feed on this city, and you prepare the meal for them.
You're getting diverted. Push the gun. Only the gun matters.
So you watched the fight. Did you like what you saw? The mayhem. It was all your doing, your plan. You got them killed.
You don't know anything.
You know what? You're right. I'm convinced this made the shot. Should we call it? .46 jacketed ammunition, modified for range. We have it. This is it. Good. This feels good, doesn't it? Tearing things up like this. When you have the murder weapon, you have the killer.
Murder.
This pushed him, but not enough. Just a little more. Wait, here it comes. The goddamn Maybells. The dried Maybells on Clausia's roof. There were Maybells in the grass when you got here. They're revolutionary symbols from the war. Nowhere else, nowhere in all of Martinez have you seen them this spring. Wait, don't forget the footprints. The diagonal prints in the dust in the secret space behind Clausia's bedroom. Now they're gonna come up. You got it. Remember? The boot prints were like no modern soul. Maybe don't beat yourself anymore, though. You're not immortal.
Damn Maybells. The whole island is turning white with them. So many this year, too. The spring is coming. No, it's already here. Wash the filth away. They blossom on the islets before we fertilize them with our blood. Resurrection was snow white in May, before they ruined it. The coast, too, before they piled their containers on top of it, filled with broken, useless trash for fat-fingered bourgeois children to play with.
You must get around a lot to stay undetected all these years. Do you know any secret paths? Pinball workshops?
I may. Clausier.
He repeats the name with care, as if it were at risk of breaking. He knows her, but hadn't heard the name.
My ears don't reach the city. With the victim.
There is a small tremble, looks like a smile, a crooked smile, yet isn't quite voluntary. He's about to burst. Don't leave any loose ends. Get him on everything.
Everything is brands with you individualists. Who cares what brand my shoes are? Sansa? Some shit.
Show me the souls, please, Mr. Dras.
Fucking imbecile.
The maker is called Sansarique, and the size is 42 to 44. These are not the unusual horizontal patterned souls you saw in the dust on the floor of the hidden room. They do, however, seem to be about the same size.
The size fits, but not the soul.
Sire, He doesn't have to be wearing them right now.
Racking those brains, are you? Desperate to report something back to your masters? They must have really loved that dead fuck.
The lieutenant gives you a quick sideways glance and nods to acknowledge. The prints were his. You can see it in those eyes. He can't keep them from flickering, looking for something. The old man stares at his own prints in the ash around the fire. Silent suddenly, some strange process within him. A gush of wind. Seagulls in the distance.
You know who he was. A coalition-trained murderer. Armored and armed. He wasn't human. The blunt end of a hammer. Dripping with blood. Beating us to the ground. Moaning with joy. You hounds get so thorough when a company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on this coast for 40 years. You know, maybe I should have killed one sooner. Got your attention. Now you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now you come to investigate. Not when they die by the hundreds.
This is it. Shot him. Shot him. Say shot him, not killed him.
Oh, the inhumanity. One paramilitary less in Revachol.
The lieutenant raises his right arm to hush you. Hush. He does not need to be pushed anymore. The ball is rolling, while the lieutenant listens, holding his breath.
I had them in my sights, both of them, him and the whore. I was breathing with them, in phase, and I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth. I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore. I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death, and that stupid look on his face. And his dick still in her. Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning there were Maybells everywhere. The world was white, or what's left of it anyway. My last spring here. I knew the fascists would come to avenge their own. And so they did.
Mr. Dross, are you aware you're confessing to murder?
Yes.
And you were looking at Dan, the victim and a young woman, having sex, through the scope of your rifle that night, before you shot him?
The old man nods.
Why?
Because that's what they were doing.
The motive. This is where the motive is going to come from. You can coax it out of him. The lieutenant's preparing the ground.
I don't understand. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part.
I'm always looking.
Are you always looking through the scope of a rifle? I'm just trying to understand.
A rifle scope has the best magnification.
And if you don't like it?
Yes. Think of it as a form of critique.
He will not stop now. These dialectical materialist types never do. Exploit it. You got him going. Connect every little piece now. Wrap this up like a gift. Start with when he first saw him. It will give him a chance to ramble. What strikes you about this gaunt man is not the stomach pain, or the cough, or the malnutrition. For a man who's spent 44 years hidden in the urban wild, indeed, he speaks fluidly. His movements are rapid, if erratic. His voice, despite the cough, is there. It is capable of expressing complicated ideas. Above all, he seems animated. It's a mystery. This animation comes at a cost too. Erratic hand gestures, thought processes cut off like threads as he just stares at the logs or the reeds. He also suffers mood swings, bubbling to the surface, unconstrained by his nervous system. You've seen demented people before. This feels similar, yet different. When his thoughts move, they are lucid, keen even, not senile.
No, I'm not okay. I shit blood, and I'm surrounded by insane people.
There it is again, erratic hand motions, bouts of rage, and the stomach thing too, of course.
3 weeks ago, when the rich hag came in on her galley, her honor guard came in tow.
Joyce. He means Joyce.
Wrinkled up whore. Black sexual morals are a bourgeois ploy. As to pederasty, the party legalized it in '04. My party, not your liberal masters. So don't you sermonize me, you racist shithole. It's still bourgeois when the bourgeois does it, fiddling with their sexual organs. They moved into a deserted apartment above the roundabout. Radio equipment out for all to see. Reactionary radio playing, sloppy and drunk. I've seen their kind during the landing. Those Occidental and Mesk phalangs weren't conscripts. Boys like us. They were whites. All they know is to destroy and hurt. Barely alive. They like to kill while they're on their drugs. After the landing, in the burning years, I would take shots at them. End them. The worst ones, if I had a bullet to spare. I could see they've returned now to show their real face. The face they don't dare show their bourgeois voters back on Mundi with their families and polyester clothes. Them fucking. I didn't like that. Jealousy is a reactionary concept. I didn't like the Reaver enjoying himself, drugged out, soothed in the arms of a young woman. I wanted him to die so he could not enjoy life anymore. And I wanted to see his head explode. That too. She should know better than to hold a child murderer between her thighs. I knew he'd be there for one more second, writhing. That's all it takes for the bullet to reach his head. Now that I think of it, I wasn't aiming for his mouth. I wanted his brains to spill out on her. But you can't have everything.
He wants to see her covered in blood, to punish her.
Since she came to Martinez, I saw her sneaking in the reeds early in the morning, behind the Feld building. It was dark, still winter. She didn't have her skimpy outfit on then, just a spot in the night, moving.
Past the Feld building on the coast? What was she doing there?
Hiding something in the water. She had a fag after she'd done it. I was up in the ruins there. She couldn't see me, but I could see her, smoking. She was nervous, but not scared. Her passport, and tickets to Villiers, and from there to Cachet-Bru.
In the free state of Seminine, hidden away at the edge of the earth, near the Pale.
Yes, after she'd gone. It was a submersible. Well made, actually.
Sloppy. We should have gotten her to tell us about this. Did you take the documents?
No, I put them back. Why would I take them? I'm not going to phone. Oh, I mean... I did. She had a face like an archipelago, with those birthmarks, and a body hard and lean and bruised all over, black and yellow. I could see she's taken a beating. I could see who she was, too. A spook, on the run. Revishal's the cloaca of capital now. All the bagmen and arms dealers end up here to do drugs and have sex like animals.
You could tell she was a spook? From the documents?
She had different color hair on the photo, and glasses. Forged. Some sordid bourgeois affair. I've heard about this kind of thing on the radio.
He's setting it up for you. The bruises. You can't make that out in a scope.
You can't see bruises through a scope. It's just a blur.
It quickly comes to you.
Oh, yes. Cutting those drugs of hers into little lines with a knife. Masturbating.
Did you make that hole?
With a clip point knife.
Good for listening in, too. For hearing the moaning and the snorts.
Like that, too. Yes. Bending like a bow against the glass. I've been through all of Martinez. Every nook and cranny. Yes, that too. The things they did in that little room. What she'd do to feel good. Funny the way light works. You turn it on inside, and it gets so dark out, you can't see a man looking in. I learned that in the 20s, when they were still hunting me. I've seen people do some shit, but...
Those two took the cake. You hear the familiar scribble of the lieutenant's pen. A quick glance at you. One more loose end down. We're doing this, detective.
How did you get in there? The hidden pinball workshop.
I can just walk in there now after a good wash. I told you, they think I'm an antisocial. Closing hour is a good time. The kitchen's empty.
You had to open the steel door in the kitchen? How?
I got that open a long time ago. Some bourgeois game merchant lived there. I don't know, 15 years ago. He left spare keys all over, and I took one. Then I saw her turn the light on one night in my scope.
Andy found use for it. A spare key, like the one hanging behind the Union Box window.
She practically breastfed that man. You wouldn't believe the things she let him do to her.
You stare at them too. In your mind, her innocence day still turns to leaf. Airport bag in hand, silks flowing in her wake. See you tomorrow, Harry. Her voice rings in the evening air, burning. The old man raises his gaze. Something glimmers in the corner of his black eye.
There's nothing to hold on to. Only this. It's not enough.
The coals of his eyes glisten suddenly, like stones dripping with water. Is he crying?
Man needs to feel something else. In this fight, it helps if you have your eye on something there. It's weakness, I know. Yes, over the years. It's not unproletarian to feel something. No. I don't really know. I was there one night and she was crying, like a child, in the corner of her room on the floor, like she does sometimes, the day after I killed him. Yes, I don't know why I do the things I do anymore. Maybe, I told you, I have holes in my brain now. I wouldn't just sit here waiting for you. If you came 10 years ago, I would have killed you.
In the silence, the lieutenant draws a line in his notes, then nods at you once more. One more down.
Her.
The lieutenant nods at you in acknowledgement. That's it. Motive. We have it.
Where is she, that Clasier? I haven't seen her there for days. Gone. I knew it. She kept staring into the scope this last week at the island, like she knew. She'd look at night, crying or smoking on the roof, staring right into me. It doesn't matter.
Across the water, on a dilapidated jetty in a nameless village, made of grey cinder block houses with Eternite roofs, 2 police officers and 1 special consultant look across a narrow strip of sea. He's there, doing what exactly, I don't know. Satellite Officer Vic Mayer points at the ruins. Behind that anti-aircraft something. That's why we can't see him. Special Consultant Heidelstein is optimistic. We'll see the boat when he comes. Let's go get a coffee until then. I know this interesting little place. Where? His voice trails off as the 3 walk down the jetty. As the men go, Patrol Officer Minnow looks back over her shoulder at the crumbling fortification in the snowfall, like a rotten tooth rising out of the water.
We could get more. We've got him talking.
Who knows what he's seen and done over the years? You could get more out of him. He likes talking.
A tragic comedy. Druggies, prostitutes, and rentiers.
A strange little engine seems to fire up in him again. It straightens his back. The familiar put, put, put of hatred.
Specifically, the whole city is a charnel house, stripped clean and draped in neon. But Martinez is the worst. Because of the racists. Everyone is a racist in Martinez. It's their favorite thing to do in the whole world. Listening to race-themed radio shows. In the ruins, in their lorries. Pumped full of steroids and Radio Revachol 92. Race this, race that. It's all sanctioned by that Social Democratic Union and the farce of a Social Democrat who runs it. Yes, the fly larva in his container. He let some nihilistic advertising yuppies erect a statue of Philippe III, a syphilitic murderer, on the town square, to spit on the working class. Not since the serfs of ancient Pericarnassus has history produced a more inert social class than the Martinez proletariat. The rest of Revachol at least pretends to rebuild. These people still live in ruins. In tents, like animals. Like those boom morons on the ice. A pity they didn't drown in that tent of theirs. The worst of them is the blood-drenched Sucrion on her yacht, licking her lips. The old whore's gone now. Her gun-toting porcelain men are dead. So, actually, no. The worst is that old cop parading around in his uniform, throwing balls all day. It's not enough that the racists and liberals are dancing on our graves. The old loyalist ghouls still parade the ruins too. Every morning he's there, while the parasites he fought to protect are off in Ozon, or Quayamoran, or some other island they built their palaces on, feeding on drugs and having sex with their own children. That's all the rich really want. Sex with their own children. Throughout history, even the royal bloodline of the suzerain, it's all just an excuse for them to have sordid sex. At least that old cunt, Frisell, is now dead. We did good when we pushed him under the horse car, until, in the 30s, those disco whores.
The disco whores are too much. Hatred shuts down his brain's language center, leaving only a nonsensical sputter. There was something about a statue and nihilistic advertising agency people. Might be worth investigating.
Whores. Syphilis is a disease Philip III contracted in a whorehouse. The statue is an abomination. The bacteria entered his brain and made him squander trillions on sparkling wine, cocainum, and monuments of himself. His son, Philip IV, the insane, contracted syphilis in the womb.
That is technically possible, although Philippe III was not actually syphilitic. He was just mad.
And he still went on to govern Revachol for 25 years. We lost 2 million lives toppling that mode of government. And those grotesque statues too. Hundreds of them. What a keen remark. Yes, it is, isn't it? It's still there. Do you know why? That's right. Some advertising cockroaches erected a cynical deconstruction of it. We tore it down with honest working-class plastic explosives. And there it is again. Art is a bourgeois establishment. It's an affront to humanity. Every gallery should be bulldozed, and the artists should all be given 30 years of hard labor in Yekokata. Another hideous disappointment. Unions are the real enemy. The true enemy of the proletariat, placating the masses.
Disappointment. So personal. He displays a familiarity with the union's top brass.
That deformed toad? I wouldn't expect him to wipe his own ass. I mean, the brains of the operation, the smart one.
Edgar.
He talks a big game about uprising and social base. They must have sent the smart one to some university in Le Jardin, where it's alienation this, and hegemony that.
He's been sweet-talked by this Edgar. They must have met in person for such animosity to have developed.
You can't live alone.
The Clares wouldn't miss a man hidden in their own backyard. Not all this time. Nothing happens in Martinez without them knowing.
Of course. Maybe the Clears asked him to. Don't go straight for the kill. Exhaust everything else first. Soften him up.
I haven't approached anyone. I hid. It was Edgar who came to me.
How did he know you were here?
He didn't just stumble in like an oaf. He figured it out. Some kids told him about a monster on the island. I told you, he has brains. Stepped right off the boat and walked down where you came. I even kept the door open for him. Thought he was a man of the left. Wouldn't rat me out. I was right about one of those things. 20 years ago, neither of them could walk now, could they? They were less fat then.
That's around the time the Clears came to power.
Edgar did the talking. Paid his respects like I were a fossil in a uniform. Offered platitudes about the struggle. Flaunted his pink degree. Even quoted Marzov. Never trust a social democrat who quotes Marzov. Oh, and charity too. They love their charity. Offered me blankets and social housing. I still have the gas cooker he brought. Let me be here. The ZOC is an unlawful successor of the Commune of Revachol. We took this fortification from the Loyalists. Even the Clares understand this.
They let him be here. Understanding was a courtesy. But why such a courtesy?
You know why I killed that fucker, Dwat. As to Edgar, I'm not doing anything for that swine again.
Again? What have you done for Edgar before?
Tried teaching him some Marzovian socioeconomics. They didn't stick. We parted ways.
Okay, he didn't do the hang the man for them, but he's insinuating something.
Every fucking morning for 34 years. Throwing that ball. One ball against the other. I've always loathed that game. That is not a working class game. I don't care what they say on Radio June. Royalist ghouls played like it was life itself. Click, clack across the water each day. And that uniform, like a parrot plumage. I won't even mention that he's a traitor to his race. A Patank maniac race traitor. I remember him. I remember him from La Noce. Not him, personally. His make and model. There were tens of thousands of them. I thought we took them all out before the Liberals came to their rescue. We missed one. That one.
There doesn't seem to be a single person under the pine today. Not even Gaston. Alone.
Fat and plump. Like a pheasant. Just begging to be popped off. Please, Mr. Dross. Shoot me. Not yet. I like to look at him strut around, place the crosshair on his medals, right on his face, and just fiddle the trigger. Think about it. Let the bomb melt in my mouth.
Save the treat for later?
He is a juicy bonbon, that one. A real treat for the black day. The blackest. When I put that gun in my own mouth, I think, no, don't waste it. Put this lead in that cock, René. For the boys he killed. And then I look at him throw those balls, and I suddenly feel better. I even hid one bullet, so I'd always have one for him. Haven't seen him around lately, strutting around. Must be down with arthritis. I hope it hurts like hell. I hope he sweats blood.
Hearing it may destabilize him. You sure you've gotten everything from him?
No. I waited too long. I waited too long, and now he's dead?
I'm sorry, Mr. Dross. I understand you knew him for a long time.
They're all dead now. Fuck it.
If he really wanted to kill him so bad, he would have done. There must have been 1,000 black days on these islands. His health ailing.
And I blew them all. What does it matter now? He's gone. Ancient dust. All human beings care about each other. I cared for seeing his head explode. And now, God damn this world. You think I haven't seen people die? It's all I've seen them do. Fuck and die. All the other plans we had. To love. To colonize the Pale. It's all fucked.
He's not okay. This is just another black day in a row of black days. Something strange is keeping him together, making him endure. The connection comes to you like a splash of cold water. Dark, cold water.
Hey.
He acknowledges it. Here we go. A twist behind the dark bend.
That bourgeois cow. Tiffin Holly was her name. Licked the rich man's hand every time he came to town. Never seen a labor leader so hot on mutual cooperation. And money. She liked that too. That Holly was a real bridge builder and a deal maker. She was, and she was real soft on those money men. Had a Barbara Muscova bag over her shoulder that she liked to bring to work. Called in, they say, on the eve of battle. Ran away, vanished like a piss stain.
No, that's not quite it, is it?
Did she? They say her daughter called in, not her personally. But that wasn't really her daughter, was it?
No, I guess it was not. She couldn't make the call herself.
Here it is, the bend in the river.
Because she was dead.
Just say nothing.
The cow caught a bullet in her right lung. Fell into the canal grasping her tit and drowned. Or bled. Hard to say. It was a sloppy job. And a moving target. She was going home. Waddling. Dressed in yellow. Drunk like she often was. The ruins were black around her, and she had a yellow leather bag under her arm. She tried to cross the canal, heading home to Grand Coron or Betancourt, someplace like that. where they build those new bâtiments for the people who flourish in the hell around her, and the ruins. Someone shot her. Or maybe the cow just fell. My memory is full of holes. All I know is nothing changed. Not in the material base, not in the hegemony. There was no uprising. Just words. The Union fizzled, sogged. Nothing came of it. Nothing.
Edgar didn't keep his part of the deal. If you were to testify to this, give the RCM something on Edgar, you could work. We would strike everything you've done and process you as a POW. You were in a war. You were on assignment. We could even extradite you to the Samaran People's Republic.
A degenerate worker state. Go shit. No, thank you. I'm Revacholian. My days are short. I will rot away here, in a moral intern cell. I will not testify to anything.
Come on, just a little. You're buddies.
I haven't lived and fought for 40 years to end up as a collaborationist. I've heard it. On Channel 8, 40 AM, Radio Revachol, late night. Everyone is a blobber in this world. Everyone betrays everyone. They're all already locked up for betrayal. The best ones, the ones with heart, were slaughtered, trampled.
There is plenty here to work with once he's in custody, and the lieutenant knows it. He gives you a little nod to proceed.
Glad we talked about what?
His lip curls into a sneer.
Glad we talked about what? What? But you said I would be taken to the...
Your Wayfarer rights have been suspended. Information provided to the officers on the scene will be used against you by the prosecution. You will be given legal counsel within 1 week and must face court in 44 days. Do you understand? Do you understand?
But... No, I don't want to. I have to stay here.
He's sweating. Beads are forming on his forehead.
Your confirmation is not required, sir. Now onto the boat. Not really. We could escort him to the pier, then either one of us can take him inland while the other stays here, but...
But then, who watches him while you're coming back here?
You come back for me? How about I go and send a boat back for you?
What is this farce? This is a fucking farce. I can't.
Something is happening. Stop. Lillian. You could ask her, maybe. There it is again, to your north, as it has been since you came to the coast. The reeds whisper, stalks rubbing against each other. But then, in the middle of it, something completely different. It sounds like a bow, very slowly being drawn against the strings of a violin. A very small violin, made of reeds and rushes.
Maybe there is room for 3 on the boat. What?
What are you talking about? Is this... really us?
Your skin crawls. A delicate tangle of arms and legs unfolds from the reeds, limb by limb, to then just stand there, moving its scythe-like arms in ghostly silence.
What are you talking about? There's nothing there.
The stick insect is over 3 meters tall. It looks straight at you with its tiny pinprick eyes and its grotesquely small head. You feel your legs shaking under you and your gun hand rise instinctively.
Tell me what you see, damn it. I can't make out one small thing in the reeds.
I can see it.
4 simple words, thank God. If he can see, then you're not insane. But that means it's really there, spinning slowly, in absolute silence, its limbs long and slender.
Be very, very careful.
The creature stands on long stilt-like legs, antennae hanging from its head like a woman's hair, white and curled at the tips. It is no more than 5 steps away from you. The segmented antennae move with apprehension, searching for something. You, reed-like tufts stick out of its joints. As the insect moves its forearms, it produces a faint hiss, like a reel-to-reel machine spinning after the tape breaks. The hiss is different from the strings you heard before. It says something else in a lower pitch. You smell. Slowly, with your breath held, you take 2 small steps toward the phasmid. The creature lets out a series of ultrasonic clicks that swarm around your head like swallows. Sweat drips from your brow, soaking your chest. You reek of it, your chemicals. Hissing and clicking, it extends its mandible-like antennae to greet you. You're right below it now, looking up at the colossal chitin of its white limbs. The head of the creature is crowned by reeds, and its eyes are like small droplets of water.
Okay.
There is no change in the insect's motion while it's being aimed by the camera. It remains fixated on you.
In 3. If it moves, you jump back. I'll shoot. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
The shrill flash of the camera cuts the air like the blade of a sword. The phasmid freezes in its bright light. Head turned toward the lieutenant, hypnotized by the flash. It stands frozen before you.
I got it.
For all time. limb before you is incredibly light, like eggshell. It's much lighter than a reed. You feel a soft push could tip the creature over. Its hollow exoskeleton collapsing. Warning! A sudden shiver passes the limb. Looks like the creature is awakening, wave by wave from its stupor. Some sort of countdown process is happening. That's all you have time to think. Don't say it. Are you sure? This may be the only chance you get to touch it. The arthropod towers above you, frozen in place. A twitch passes one of its hind legs as the antennae hang from a great height. With your hand shaking, you barely touch the tip of the left whisker. On contact, the chitin curls into a spiral, like the tip of a poison ivy. Its touch on your fingertip feels cold, ticklish. The sensation is electrifying, resounding through your body. It is surprisingly delicate, the curly end of the whisker, like a young vine. It's even a bit wet.
Be careful, detective. It's moving.
You were right. It glistens with some kind of moisture. The creature in front of you stays frozen. It tastes like sugar, very faint. The anthropod towers above you, tufts of reeds pointed from limb and head alike. Odorless, mostly comprised of water. Another shudder pulses through the creature's limbs. It jolts back to life, like a record continuing where it left off, in a swaying, praying motion. Even the small black pearls of its eyes do not stray from you. No reply. A total ancient silence comes from its mouth, along with what appears to be some kind of foam. The stridulations of its limbs continue all around you. You were right. Little bubbles form on the mouth parts of the creature, on its segmented lower lip. It looks to be foaming, slowly. The foam is white, then yellowish. The faintest smell, like you've never felt before, like burnt roses.
Careful. It may be poisonous.
The foam slowly turns a darker shade, like burnt caramel, as the insect moves its mouth parts, masticating. The little bubbles begin to burst, one by one, letting out that same smell, like summer burning.
I exist. Tell me what it's like for you. Then I will tell you what it's like for me. Yes, holy is the Lord of hosts, and all the earth is filled with his glory. Now, I will tell you what it's like for me. For me, it is a series of half-lit images, a kind of darkness, being intruded upon, transient, dim, moist. Shapes of plants and animals, and internal sensations. A swarm of sounds, tiny vibrations on the inside of my forearms. All speak of complexities totally beyond my understanding. I am at the end of a narrow funnel, weightless, so light, it only feels like something to be me. In truth, perhaps I'm nothing. I certainly do not have a soul, and if I did, it would never ache. few of us can begin to imagine the horror of you, with all of creation reflected in your forebrain. It must be like the highest of hells, a kaleidoscope of fire and writhing glass. Eternal damnation, even when you're sleepy, and when you wake, you carry it around on your neck, with eyes open that cannot help but swallow more behind the mirror. I feel great, mute empathy for you. That must be incredibly hard. The Arthropods are in silent and meaningless awe of you. Know that we're watching. When you're tired, when the vision spins out of control, the insects will be looking on, rooting for you. And when you fall, we will come to raise you up. Bud from you, banner-like, blossom from you and carry you apart in a sky funeral, in honor of your passing. But not me, because I'm just a leaf eater.
In honor of your shit, Lieutenant Ifreter, which you kept together in the face of total unrelenting terror, day after day, second by second. Detective, arriving on the scene.
So am I. I was born to detect sucrose rewards and semiochemicals. What were you born to detect? He's in a bad state, deteriorating fast now. He thinks I am beneficial to him, but I am not. I only quicken his deterioration. Very slowly, and only because he won't go away. It is meant to keep them from noticing me, to interfere with the pictures in their heads. But he has looked at me for too long, and I am destroying him. No, you're awake. I am real. Light is forming me. This is real. Not even the birds know that. Not even the water lily. You can also eat it. If it's a leaf, you can put it in your mouth. Yum yum. Or read.
Wait, so
Yes, they don't mind. Yes, I once cloned myself and ate the little ones. It was winter, and I woke up at the wrong time. It was an accident. I am an unknown species of the order Phantasmodia, endemic to the Insulandian Insula. For the last 350 years, I have hidden in plain sight, masquerading as the reeds, molding, cloning myself, unfolding at night to play with trash bins and boys. No one unnoticed by the first settlers and the land surveyors of the suzerain. Also, by the soldiers of the revolution and the officials of the occupation. Even the Seminese islanders who came here first, but did not stay, have not seen me. I have stayed hidden through 4 forms of government and 2 scientific revolutions, until I was accidentally discovered by a detective of the citizen militia in Revelshop, district of Martinez, March 51. No, you are. The moral of our encounter is, I am a relatively median life form, while it is you who are a total extreme madness. A volatile simian nerve system ominously new to the planet. The Pale too came with you. No one remembers it before you. The Nidarians do not. The radially symmetrics do not. There is an almost unanimous agreement between the birds and the plants that you are going to destroy us all. It is a nervous shadow cast into the world by you, eating away at reality. A great, unnatural territory. Its advent coincides with the arrival of the human mind. You're a violent and irrepressible miracle. The vacuum of cosmos and the stars burning in it are afraid of you. Give me enough time, you will wipe us all out and replace us with nothing. Just by accident. We suspect it will be something like the oxygen holocaust that wiped out anaerobic life 2.6 billion years ago, when organisms first started breathing. Only much worse.
Instead of air, you exhale thoughts. There are no trees that eat thoughts.
Everything your eyes touch goes back there, behind the nose mirror. What if you blink? Are we still here? Please don't blink. What if you misplace us all one day, or just forget? So it is already happening. Soon, one of you will close your eyes and open them to see that none of this ever existed.
It doesn't look like that, no. You're just staring at it. Okay. Is it somehow related to the case? I think you should back away from the unstudied species now.
No, there is one more. Thank you. I also have one more thing to say to you before you go. That woman, turn from the ruin. Turn and go forward. For all mankind. You cannot lie to me. Behind you, it smells of fires. So awfully far you were prepared to go in her presence. And it. She was hell on earth. It doesn't take a 3-meter stick insect to tell you that.
The insect stops its stridulation, seeming to observe you. Below its crown of reeds, little pinprick eyes detect motion, glittering. The world stands still around you. Suddenly, there is silence. As you do, the invertebrate comes to life, its limbs moving independent of each other, as if each has a mind of its own. They are white, like stalks of porcelain, knitting above you, praying to you. Unwittingly, the insect continues its stridulations. As it moves, tuft-like structures, still pretending to be plants, rustle along on its joints. As you're turning away, the phasmid mirrors your movements, stepping on the water, the long limbs carrying its feather weight without breaking its surface. And just like that, it's gone, skating away across the sea's calm mirror like a skipping stone, leaving nothing but circles on the water. And something under it, in the place it stood, bobbing there, among the reeds, a collection of items.
It's gone. Apparently, yes. Like a water strider. Only, I've never seen anything like that in my life. Looks like a nest of some sort. We should have a look.
Oh, What now?
Our suspect is not looking so good. We need to check on him.
What is it? What do you want from me? I can't go.
Something is very wrong with him now.
See?
Mr. Dras?
The man does not respond. He keeps staring, black eyes glazed over and bulging from their sockets. His gap-toothed mouth shaking, like an addict of some terrible substance. A light shiver passes him, followed by nothing. His hands are trembling, and he breathes slowly.
He's going into some kind of psychomotor immobility. The good news is, this solves our transportation problem, doesn't it, Mr. Dras?
The trembling mouth appears to sigh.
Between this and the broken tire he's used for a boat, I think it's safe to leave him here, while we go and get help. It will need to be medical first, I'm afraid. Old age and shock. Yes, the arrest and the appearance of the phasmid, the combined stress. But you think it's something more than that, don't you?
There's much more. Remember what it said when it spoke. Quite a few things about that health check you did on him make sense now.
That could be part of the shock. But you're right, something is off here. Mr. Dras,
No response.
then how did we see it? Oh, you mean, whatever does this, does it over time? Teenagers, kids, drunks, sightings are brief, and hence not credible. But anyone who spends a long time with it. Mr. Dras, have you ever seen a stick insect pretending to be the reeds? The doctors will have to look at this. I hope your station has better medical personnel than 57. This is a little advanced for a nurse. He was energetic and articulate. After all these years alone, with little hygiene or medication, I would expect worse. It does not seem to be animated now it's left. Honestly, I'm ready to believe anything at this point. Maybe it is psychoactive. I mean, why not? It's 3 meters tall. You mean pheromonal? The scope, knowing of her bruises, his disposition toward Miss Orania, I see what you mean. You should be more careful, detective. Are you sure it wasn't having an effect on you? A valid hunch. Long-term exposure to something like that could be neurodegenerative. Also, please be careful when approaching unknown species in the future, detective. He did seem distressed when it finally came to arresting him, like he didn't want to leave this place, and the insect maybe. I have absolutely forgotten to take notes. I hope I remember all of this. This will be one hell of a report. Thank God we have the photo.
No one would believe you without it. He stares into the reeds. Your words don't stir anything in him. Perhaps you should.
I lost.
He turns his eyes to the reeds again, as he's done so many times. Beige and white stripes.
He lost the scope. Then it somehow made its way over there. With the help of a magpie phasmid. This sight is a T9, Mr. Dross. Was it attached to the rifle when you made the shot?
Silence. Not even a sigh. Nothing. Just dull staring. Not even rage left, wherever he is.
If Kuno kicked it into the sea, as he said he did, the ebb would put it back here. This makes sense. Mr. Dross could have picked it up. Or the phasmid even. If it did, this is incredible.
The plastic cape flaps around his face in a gust of wind. His back is slouched and his mouth open. The blacks of his eyes are receding. His pupils are returning to normal. The strength is all gone out of him. Just frail old bones in a sack of tracksuit trousers and a windbreaker.
We should think about getting back to the mainland. To get help. He'll be safe here. If we don't take too long.
The skiff is swaying on the waves by the dock.
Let's. We are done here.
The skiff rocks gently under your weight as you get in. The ride back is uneventful and quiet. But for the sound of conversation on the water, there is someone inland waiting for you. Two men and a woman stand on the concrete square of a nameless village, looking at a small yellow boat as it draws closer. The sea is calm. You reach the jetty and climb out of the skiff.
Look what the tide brought him. Harry, you're bleeding all over the place. You're half dead.
Whatever this is, it is completely unimportant compared to what you've just seen. This is the man with sunglasses from the Whirling in Rags. But where are his sunglasses?
That's right. And you're bleeding. Bothered by it. Harry, you look like you need a fucking organ transplant. Oh, fuck it. Let's not get into that. We're not forgetting about anything. Look at you.
Hello, I'm Trent Heilerstam. I believe we've met on several occasions.
I'm your goddamn partner, Jean-Vic Kemar, and this is your special task force. Or what's left of it. Special Consultant Trent Heilerstam, Patrol Officer Judith Minot.
Hi.
We've come to scrape what's left of you after pavement.
Lieutenant Kim Kisuragi, Prison 57. We've just come from the island, where our investigation led us.
The scene is making even him feel as though he has to justify your actions.
We might need your help with something later.
As if he recalled that he's in fact a decorated police lieutenant and not a naughty boy.
But this is clearly a departmental matter, so I'm going to leave you to discuss it among yourselves.
It's good to meet you, Lieutenant Kitsuhagi.
Letting the lieutenant know he shouldn't feel embarrassed over the shitstorm that's about to befall you.
Ari, we want to help you. Trant, I believe this is where you come in?
This is the horse-faced woman. I don't know why you named her that, but it was beyond idiotic. You should never address her using those words again.
I don't quite know what I'm doing here. I was asked to participate as an expert. I think I need to manage your expectations a little. I'm at best an enthusiast in cognitive science. My background is in something else entirely. I engage in neurology on a merely theoretical level. In fact, I should probably get going.
No, Trant, it's too late. You're part of this shit now. What have you got to say for yourself, shit kid?
What does he have to say for himself? He left you to catch the bullets. Shit kid. What an interesting moniker.
You. Shit, kid. That's you.
Despite all that you've done, the deserter, the phasmid, the case,
No, because of all that you've done. The cafeteria manager you fucked over told us where you went. Strange. He didn't mention that. In fact, the establishment didn't look saved at all. There was a giant aerograffito in front of the building. It was on fire. I don't know. It had shit kid written all over it. Guilty as charged. I heard you'd lost your mind and your memory. I wanted to see if it was true. And it was. Good work, Harry. You're insane now. There's one less person for me and everyone else to rely on.
he was too sarcastic for you to realize who he was.
Did you? Or did you literally not recognize my face? We've been partners for how long, Harry? Don't answer that. You don't remember.
He's right. Don't start guessing. Now's not a good time.
It's okay. I didn't come here to gloat or to fool you. Neither did he, actually. We're just worried.
That's right. Worried. I'm always worried about you. Every time you don't show up to work, or when you do but stink. You're a worry fest. She's worried about you. I'm worried about you. Even Special Consultant Backpedal is worried about you. Everyone worries instead of working.
Yes, I'm Tran Heilerstam. I never said I wasn't Tran Heilerstam. Mikhail? Mikhail's my son. No, I was just interested in the Feld building and the Martinez beachhead. And Mikhail wanted to see Martinez. It was a coincidence. What indeed? I was asked to share my take on some of the more obscure theories developed in Königstein in the 30s, like partial psychotraumatic amnesia, group personality theory.
He's here to see if you're insane. He is smart. Let's move on. Duped? Hey, here's a brilliant idea. Don't be a morbid drunk and you won't be duped so easily.
Yes, I'm still Kim Kisolagi, still a lieutenant from Precinct 57.
Still caught up in this crossfire, too.
Yeah, Major Crimes Unit, under Lieutenant Dubois and Vicomar. Ring any bells? Refresh your memory? It's a goddamn Major Crimes Unit. There's you, me, Jude, Tron fucking Heidelstown, and Guillaume Baby.
I'm technically just a civilian advisor.
Oh, fuck you. You're part of this shit show. Oh, that's an interesting story, actually. Guillaume Bevy is a police reporter who joined our team. He was really good. Then he left because he lost faith in your ability to lead the unit. Other people have left too. Good, smart people. People we won't get back. Only me and this really patient patrol officer are still here. And Tron because I'm forcing him to stay.
Is this Guillaume Bevy blonde and partial to sunglasses?
See? There. He's getting it. I was impersonating him. Look at me, I'm G. Bevy. It was going to be funny, but then you really did have brain damage. So not so much anymore. Do? It's a major crimes unit. We clear the desk of cases so Precinct 41 doesn't look like the worst station in town. We are shit here now, Harry. Because of you.
The 41st isn't...
God damn it, Harry. You told us to fuck off. You said we're cramping your style. Your detective god. Fuck everything. All will burn. Detect or die.
It wasn't like that.
Fuck you, Harry. We didn't know there was gonna be a tribunal, did we? Yes, you're sorry. You're the sorriest cop who ever lived. Nothing has changed, Harry. I've heard this repentance shit a million times over. The bells aren't ringing because you have brain damage. Trant, this is where you come in. How bad is it?
Well, he doesn't have visible tremors, he talks without slurring, he can drive a boat, he's standing, reasoning. All good signs, but complete retrograde amnesia, episodic and semantic.
Meaning, you forgot both who you are and the definitions of money, Isola, hell, and so on.
As displayed in the station call, our interactions with him, and I don't want to be a snitch, but also mine with him before when Harry did not seem to know who I was. It's all very interesting.
Interesting?
Yes, interesting. I have my theories, but I would like to hear Harry's thoughts first. Harry, what do you think happened to you? Neurologically, psychologically, and why not socioeconomically? Not when you phrase it like that, but I don't think critical theory. I know everyone thinks this is far-fetched pink academia, but still, I don't think it should be off the table here.
What? He lost his memory because of capitalism?
No, not like that. I'm not talking vrede for school here. But Harry, I asked you, what do you think happened?
Psychotraumatic amnesia, Trant? I can go for that. Shit kid is a broken man. Always has been. Who isn't? I know I am. But you know what? I keep my shit together. Also, I know a person can't wipe their own mind, however traumatic it gets. That doesn't happen. You're lying, or insane, or both.
But Detective Vigmer, he has blanked out before. Yes, a couple of times. After some of the more serious benders. One was after the two drunks case, the other when we looked into that mural.
So you don't remember not remembering. Beautiful.
Interesting. So at first he dipped his toes into it, prepared. That's where he would have gotten the idea, yes. Practice. And then he used alcohol to get there, so to speak.
What do you mean?
Well, here's my theory. What if this is an absolutely normal reaction to the world we're living in? What if this is not a significant anomaly at all? Something to be explained, approached as a defect? Look at the sensory input here. Look at the ruins, the neon. Listen to the radio, the multitudes, the people. Live here for 40 years. As a police detective, he's like a magnetic reader on the world tape, to borrow a known metaphor. Harry's been pushed flat against it. Total input. Hardwired to the free market. He just needed for it to end.
Okay, Trent, thank you. That's absolutely meaningless. I'm glad we brought you. Will he or will he not be able to work in the major crimes unit? Is he a cretin now? I want to know that.
He's not a cretin, and he is able to do work. If not in his previous leadership role, then as a line detective.
No one even mentioned that. I misphrased my question. It should have been, is he able to put his clothes on and use the body? Or do we need to get him on a disability pension? Now nothing. Now we're just going to stand here. No, now we discuss that. What the fuck did you do to our motor carriage? Why is it there, Harry? Ah, so refreshing. He just admits it. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for destroying 45,000 real of police property that's coming out of everyone's payslip. It doesn't matter. Your badge, Harry. Show me your badge. The thing that tells people you're a police officer.
In a rush to demonstrate your badge, your eager fingers can't sustain a grip on the smooth plastic, and the badge slips out of your hand. You juggle the badge for a second, unsuccessfully, and it lands on the ground some 2 meters away. Ouch! You strained your elbow trying to catch that stupid thing. Damn it.
He found it. He found it, Jean. It's his badge.
And your gun?
As if having your badge and gun are natural states, not achievements. What is it with all these material objects?
He has it. And he didn't drop it. You're drunk like a bum, Harry. Put that thing away before you kill someone. So you forgot to drink? I don't buy it. Why do you smell like a corpse then?
He's wounded. It's been a long week, and he's handled an actual corpse.
Detective, please. Don't start talking about your pheromone again. This is serious. If you don't,
Then you'll be fired. This is a hearing. Toughen up. The man doesn't reply, but his expression speaks for him. You should have done a better job, is what it's saying.
I don't believe you. You're drunk. You let a suspect escape, a certain Classier, because you were too drunk to assess a flight risk.
we've read the report, Sari. Lieutenant Kitsuragis. We know.
Oh, well, if you let her go, I'm not even gonna get into the other suspect who escaped. Another act of mercy? Or the fact that you're Everclear's little peony now, doing I don't know what for him. That's small-time stuff. That's nothing. That's a humorous anecdote. Compared to the 6 people who were gunned down, The streets are literally red with blood, Harry. It was fucking mass murder.
He did everything he could. We did everything we could. The company hired and vetted mercenaries. Lieutenant Dubois got between them and the locals.
Here comes the cavalry.
He did so at considerable risk to his person. Remember, he was shot. We stopped an execution, not a negotiation. The loss of life was minimal compared to what it could have been. Don't make this harder for yourself.
Thank you for the input, Lieutenant Kitsuragi. I didn't mean to suggest you didn't handle the situation.
He thinks of apologizing, but decides against it.
You've spent the week with him on this case. What is your take?
On the case?
On Lieutenant Geoffrey Dubois.
Well, the drinking, the gun losing, also losing the badge. That's all true. Although he has not been drinking on the job this week.
See?
1 week.
Then there's the self-flagellation issue. He likes to apologize, profusely, making it sound like he's guilty of at least first-degree murder. It's not a good communication strategy for an officer. It's just strange, especially in light of his political views. Detective Dubois is, as you may know, a true blue moralist, a man of the center, not prone to political outbursts, which is commendable, but also at odds with his behavior. Other still, he is also a full-blown fascist, an ultra-nationalist, woman-hater, and more than a little racist. How he reconciles these 2 points of view, but he is vocal about both. And then there's the motor carriage in the sea, something I was not present for. But despite all this, he is a great detective, one of the best I have seen, in fact. He can talk human beings into telling him everything, and he doesn't stop. In all the time I've spent with him, he has not once stopped pursuing leads, however far-fetched and tangential. He is tireless, madly driven. Well, except that one time when he stopped to sing karaoke, which, by the way, I have to disagree with you, Mr. Vicmar, was a valiant effort. He really sang his heart out.
Okay, he did something.
Other than that one time, he has tirelessly worked on the case, and he solved it. We have a confession, a murder weapon, and the perpetrator, locked on the island right now, awaiting transportation. He apprehended a revolutionary brigade who stayed hidden for 50 years, ever since the revolution, who's probably committed other murders over those years. Oh, and he also discovered a new species.
A new species?
A colossal stick insect. It was on the island, camouflaged as the reeds. It unfolded from the reeds. I think we may be dealing with the Insulindian phasmid.
He takes out the photo of the phasmid and shows it to the officers across the yard. The wind blows, flapping the glossy rectangle in his hand. You hear gasps beneath the howling of the wind.
As you can see, it's about 3 meters tall. In fact, we think it may be the largest land invertebrate ever discovered.
Fucking hell. Is this somehow connected to the case?
Detective? The old man was not aware of the phasmid's presence. Exhibiting a strange, atypical dementia, he fell into a stupor after its appearance. He became near catatonic.
So it is connected.
I must say, this is absolutely extraordinary. I don't even have words for it.
Yes. It really does make it hard to fire the drunk.
This is a very, very sad man who has just seen something that's made him forget his sadness. Now you make your case. Now is the time. Now or never.
Female? What makes you think so?
You had to see it. It had the subdued colors of a female. And the nesting behavior too, I think.
Incredible. Were there eggs in the nest?
Not as far as I could see. There were other things there, though.
Actually, you know, this would indicate it was a male. This is far from anything in my field, but I think such nests are called bowers. They are for attracting mates. Of course, as I said, I'm only guessing. I didn't see it. It must be robust if it can move a whole helmet with its limbs. As in cloning itself? What makes you think so? Then it wouldn't matter if it's male or female. The bower would just be rudimentary behavior from before the parthenogenetic mutation.
That makes sense. Yes.
Very interesting. Such organisms are extremely vulnerable to disease. A single strain of bacteria could wipe out the whole species. We're probably looking at conservation efforts here.
Yes, but also reed-colored, beige and brown, a little green on the outside. After unfolding from a single stalk, it still retained parts that looked like reed tufts on its limbs.
Incredible. The PR value of this is exceptional. Carp discovers new species. Maybe even discovers the Insulindian phasmid. No, that's too much.
This would really help with some of the problems we've been having.
Absolutely, this is great. This does not say vigilante murderers to me at all. This says science, news, human interest. You know, it's a really good thing you have that photo.
Without it,
You're doing good here. Perhaps only for a moment, but still. Quit while you're ahead? Or no?
Lilianovich. A revolutionary matronym. The custom started in Grad, where they have patronyms. Krasovich, Lasovich, etc. The revolutionaries saw this as a chauvinist atavism, so they used matronyms, derived from the mother's name instead. This man's mother was Lilian. His Lilian's son, Lilianovich. The custom was overturned after the revolution failed, but not before it made it to Revachol.
So, it is what a soldier of the ICM would be called.
thank you, Trant. Thank you for that piece of cultural theory. You said you have a motive?
Of course, excuse me, I just thought it was noteworthy.
He wasn't quite sure about the straggler before he heard this detail. It must have convinced him.
Jealousy. I thought this Lilianovich was an old man. To have been hiding for 50 years. Like 70-something.
A strange psychosexual fixation, aggravated possibly by proximity to the phasmid and its chemicals. He himself gave a political reason, said he had killed an enemy combatant. Also, we have ballistics from the gun, matching the bullet found in the dead mercenary's head, and 2 officers on the scene that Mr. Dross confessed to.
It's a clean win.
Oh, it's way more than that. Way more.
I've never doubted you can pull yourself together and work. In bouts. Bouts don't last. I can still smell the booze on the wind.
God damn it. Doesn't it ever leave? It is there, like in your bones or something. It will pass in time.
This is a conversation for when we are no longer out in the open, in Martinez, where Everard and Edgar Clare have ears everywhere.
And eyes, too. Your return from the island must not have gone unnoticed.
Understood, of course.
But a case against Everard would be big.
I would prefer not to partake in anything Union-related, for political neutrality.
This has to be good stuff for him to backpedal out of it at first mention.
Yes. Fallen through a gap in a boardwalk. Drunk.
The body was transported to Precinct 41, our morgue. I had Tilbrook and Mullins take care of funeral arrangements and family stuff.
You're not the only cop in the world, Harry. This all comes back to us.
Still, good work with the missing person, Detective.
It's still a point for you. No denying it.
I don't know what a Doom commercial area is. Why? That's not what you were supposed to do here.
There was a fridge we needed and a possible witness. He was just chasing a lead and ended up advising a local shopkeeper. It was okay.
Of course. Call it community outreach, right?
Dodged the bullet there. For a moment it seemed like you were just wasting time.
Who's Kuno?
You don't want to know.
You're right, Lieutenant. I don't. You snorted the drugs, I know you did. It's alright. I mean, at this point, anything is but the drink. I don't want to, but you discovered a new species and solved the murder. So I have to, Jude.
Anything that ends the trial is okay with me.
Agreed. The public relations potential of this is too valuable to let go.
Okay. We have vehicles in the square, and the perpetrator needs to be taken into custody. Let's go.
Now you will finally get to know who you are. The man looks westward, impatiently, jingling his car keys in his pocket.
Who are you? You're a gym teacher, Harry. Well, obviously you're not a gym teacher anymore, but...
Before you were a cop, you were a gym teacher in Coron. It's getting really cold outside. Should we maybe...
Harry, it explains everything. The running around, the jumping, the bicep girth, your inexplicable facial hair. Your moves on the church floor, which honestly was just jump aerobics. Your use of the word graffito. Of course, contact Mike.
He's been on about Mike again. I hate that guy. Oh, you don't say. Does he also vault an impassable gulf of finance and privilege?
It is getting cold out.
In your 20s or late 20s, you've really let yourself go since then. Yes, you taught gym in Cool. I believe that's the term. Taught gym at a high school. You were a high school gym teacher.
The smell of sweat and glue, the worn floorboards. Kuro is just east of Jamrock. It was a short walk every morning to the baseball field or the sports building.
High school. Harry, your goings-on with Kuno, Andre, Assel, the whole thing on the ice. That's why you are so juvie.
The regular. You found some chick. She inspired you to fight the big fight. Be more than you are. All that.
You, every morning, walking from Voyager Road to teach gym. She, leaving for the academy with her spring coat on. The air filled with the smell of smoke and raspberries and incredible hope. An ocean full of hope.
I knew it. I knew no normal human being can run like that. He's an honest-to-God gym teacher.
It's not a mystery. Some chick fucked you over. Also, you were drunk.
You really went with it too. Really maximized the damage.
Dora something. Dora England. Yeah, you mentioned the name.
Not Dora Dubois.
Something like that. Half Vazan.
Vasa is where beautifully and impossibly blonde people come from.
No one is married anymore. This is Revachol. God, I don't know. 6 years ago, she was way before my time.
6 years and you haven't gotten over it. What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, or 7. You're not doing too good there. It's an old man thing. 2 old years equals 1 normal year. That and Dora Engelund really tore you a new one. A big one. Incredibly bangable. She was incredibly fuckable. A beautiful bourgeois woman. Wayfish. Like a Welkin, basically.
Snow Welkin. Blonde Welkin. Heartbreak Welkin. Pain Welkin.
I've only seen a picture, but it's obvious you formed a real spiritual connection with how pretty she was. One you never recuperated from.
Look, the sun is going down. It's time to go on.
I think she taught in the Académie des Arts, east of the river. Way east. Hard to say which came first, the middle-class chick or the drink. Egg and the chicken kind of thing. My point is, you need to see a psychiatrist about this shit. Not a psychologist. Several degrees harder. Is there something harder than a psychiatrist? A forensic psychiatrist? Go talk to that.
In other words, he's heard enough about this.
Us? We're the bloody murder station, haven't you heard? We're the bad guys. No one likes us.
That's not true. Jamrock is too big for one precinct. You are just understaffed. And everyone respects the 41st. You have Captain Price.
Thank you, Lieutenant. You're being kind. It is an understaffed station and the district is too big, which is why we need to...
Get back to it. We left Torsen and McLean to run the Sea Wing. It's not good. Mac the Torso Torsen and Chester McLean. They're not fit to run a wing. Believe me. Things are shaky as it is.
They are damn iconic though, Torsen and McLean.
Yeah, not like us. 2 clinically depressed old men. Where's the contrast here? We are garbage. God. There are 4 wings, Harry. A, B, C, and D. We're in C. It's made of losers and clock punchers. You and I reconceptualized it as a task force. It was a mistake.
There's also a lot of outside help involved, not only me. Other losers too.
He's anything but a loser, although he would like to be seen as one. It's cooler that way.
Ptolemy Price? He's the son of the old Price, one of the founders of the RCM.
He's one of the most highly regarded men in the force. You're lucky.
Somewhere under the curved roof of a former silk factory, shaped like a ladybird with 2 chimneys, Police Captain Ptolemy Price sits behind a heavy wooden desk. Resident medic Nix Gottlieb pours him coffee. It's silent in the captain's office. They speak of change, the city, the tension on the streets. They speak of the events of April and the blood on the streets in May.
So he remembers that. Yes, there may have been a raid on some churches. It wasn't good press.
Shooting up churches never is. I was out of town, to be clear.
Our enemies were hiding in a church. to the best of our information. That's it. I'm not talking about this anymore. Your security clearance is shit tier right now. You have to wait for it to go up.
He means it. The RCM and its enemies will not be discussed on this coast. Your clearance will not go up while you're within earshot of the Union headquarters.
Okay. It's not the bloody murder station. It's an old converted silk mill with green desk lamps and a coffee corner. A lot of good people work there, hard, every day.
Jamrock is the largest ghetto in Rivershoal. Faubourg, technically, but it's divided into 11 districts. Jamrock only has us.
The press will blow over. Jamrock is lucky to have you, and it's often considered to be the greatest of the districts. You're lucky to have it.
Thank you again, Lieutenant. Who is Lena? Well, good luck finding her once we get back.
She and her husband were conducting the search for the Phasmid. It's their discovery, in part. I'm sure we'll find them. They should know as soon as possible. It would do you good to deliver some positive news for a change.
She is going to be over the moon. Watch out, or she'll faint.
Well, first I will go back to my station and write the most detailed report anyone has ever seen. It will have to be good to cover all these. Then I will have a serious talk with my captain. Detective, we just stopped a small-scale war. Something is happening to Revachol. I don't know what yet, but it's going to be a hard spring for the RCM. We need to get ready, infiltrate, investigate. Talk to Captain Price? I'd rather not ruffle the feathers of two captains with my doom-mongering. Work with Price? I'm flattered, but I don't know if I...
Would fit in. And crazy enough. Can take the stress. He doesn't know how to finish the sentence. This truly came as a surprise to him. Not a bad one, but he's at a loss.
Flattered? You're Lieutenant Kitsuragi. We would be flattered if you even considered.
I would have to tie things up in GRIH first. But, I mean, whatever is coming, Jamrock will be more central to it than the harbor.
And we also have a huge caseload, Lieutenant. Piles that we need to get back to. Mountains, even.
I do like the sound of that.
He's really considering it.
Good.
Fuck it, let's go. Tron brought his motor carriage. It's a 20-minute drive to Jamrock.
Under the evening sky, the great district turns on its lights. A chessboard of wooden houses, 80,000 living souls inside. Fire traps as far as the eye can see, from Main Street to Precinct 41 atop the motorway, to Boogie Street disappearing into the rain on the horizon. You close your eyes and hear the dogs bark. A lone woman sits by a factory window, dreaming of meteorite strikes. On Rue de Saint-Jérôme, a square bullet slides into a square-shaped chamber. In Old South, a man without eyelids smiles. Spring has come. It's time. Dawson? Yes. McLean? Yes. Heidelstein? No. Vicmere? Yes. Dubois? Of course. Really? Nix Gottlieb looks up from the list. I hear he's unstable. You say that like it's a bad thing. Captain Potomny Price gestures with a ballpoint pen. It's dim in the office, and the curtains are drawn. Harry's our man. He'll pull through. When he does, he'll side with the RCM. Understood. Gottlieb returns to the list. Minot? Of course.
Wonderful. Then can we please just go back to Jamrock now?